Hi everybody. Hi, Kris Vallotton here. How are you doing? It's good to be back. I've actually been off for about 2.5 weeks, and probably maybe you know my story, but I had kidney stones about 2 weeks ago. Got them removed. It's good to be alive again. Yes, Pastor Kris got stoned. My congregation is saying Kris got stoned, but anyway, it's good to be free and it's good to be out of pain. I never experienced pain like that. I spent 8 days in the bathtub because hot water was the only thing that seemed to help. I don't know if anyone's ever had that kind of experience passing a kidney stone. By the way, so I had mine removed. It's a C-section, but Kathy passed a stone 3 days later, gave birth to it naturally. So I think this is kind of weird, man. We do everything together. We even passed kidney stones the same week together. This is such a weird family. Donta, how you doing, man?
Hey, Kris, good to see you.
See you too. Thanks for being on here, man.
Oh, I'm honored. I'm honored.
It's yeah, it's good. It's so good to see you. And you guys got a youth conference coming up this week, right?
Yes, we just found out we're sold out, and it's going to be an amazing event. I'm so excited about it.
You're sold out, and you're sold out, right?
Come on.
Yeah. I think I'm going to start doing some rap because there's some stuff just coming on me like that.
Kris, do not do that to Instagram.
So I want to introduce you. Donta is our associate youth pastor of Young Saints at Bethel Church. And you recently you joined us on the Father series, our 5.5 part video series on fatherhood. And we're, this is all about the Uprising book, actually, that we just came out. Actually, you still have to pre-order it, right? Right now, I think it's out in another week or so. The Uprising book is about fatherlessness and actually, moving from fatherlessness to fathering. It's the powerful, the most fatherless generation in history. And Donta, you have quite a story, and I'd love to. You're married. How many kids do you have?
I got 2 and a third on the way in a month.
Oh my gosh.
We're in the middle of it.
How long have you been married?
6 years, since 2016. Married to the love of my life, Chantel. She is the most beautiful woman inside out. Canadian girl, met a Florida boy here at School of Ministry. And we're popping out babies. Well, she's popping out babies.
She's popping out the baby, but you helped, right?
Yeah, I support it.
Firm in the age. And see, you came to School of Ministry, found the love of your life, got married, had children. Hey, that's
Kris, I did what you prophesied. I did what you said. I listened.
There it is, man. Hey, so tell our viewers a little bit about yourself. Obviously, the subject is about fatherlessness and fathering. And I actually didn't even remember your story. I just got some notes here, and I'm like, oh, I remember you telling a story like a lot of years ago, but I didn't remember it actually till they showed me the notes. Let's talk a little bit about your fathering. Both your fathering. You got 2 kids already, but what was your father experience like?
Yeah. Well, I grew up in a small town, South Bay, Florida. It's my hood. I love my home. And but I was actually born in San Bernardino, California.
Oh, yeah.
I never knew my biological dad. So when I was born there, between age 4 or 6 is when we moved and went back to Florida with my mom. But didn't know my biological dad at all. Only saw him in one picture and had maybe 3 to 4 memories of him, really young.
Your father, is it okay to ask you this part of the story? Why did you not know him?
Yeah, because my mom, they had a pretty broken relationship. My mom had us younger. She actually went to Florida or California as a contemporary hip hop dancer. That's what I say to my white friends. But usually it's just she just danced really good and was in California doing her thing. And but met my dad while she was there, and then they split, and she took us with her. and there was never, you know, anyone reaching out or anything like that. And there's no contact until I think I was in maybe 11th grade, because of Facebook, found out that I had siblings that were like a bunch of siblings from my dad's side, didn't know my dad or anything like that. And then we heard through them that he had been in prison.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah.
Have you ever connected with him now as an adult?
Crazy story. So I'm in first year, and one of my friends lives in LA, and we go to his home for Thanksgiving. And I get in contact with some of my siblings that I had back when I was in 11th grade. Contact them, and we ended up, they invited me over on Thanksgiving, and I'm hanging out with them. And while we're hanging out together, it was the trippiest moment. I'm like, I can't believe I'm with my blood siblings. And in that moment, my dad calls from prison. He doesn't know that I'm there. So I haven't heard his voice. I haven't talked to him since I was 3, 4. And he calls, and someone's talking to him, and they're like, hey, your son is here. Donta's here. And they give me the phone, and I hear his voice. And it was the craziest thing, because I recognize his voice.
You recognize his voice?
I knew the cadence, the tone, the vibe. I knew his voice when I heard him speak. And I was so grateful. By that time, I had gone through, you know, so much of school of ministry. So I had gotten a little bit of healing. And so I was able to share with them that I forgive him. I hold nothing against them, that I'm doing well. He came in really low and just, you know, apologizing that he wasn't there. And we just had a great conversation on the phone with my biological dad. As it was happening, I don't think I realized what was happening until after that. He randomly called, and they were just saying like, yeah, he never just randomly calls like this. And we got to talk on the phone for the first time. And that was a really cool moment that even just showed me, man, God just is really good at just having some redemptive moments for us, even as we go on a healing journey. And it was a really cool moment for me.
That's really cool. Did you have a father figure? Like, you know my story. I lost my dad when I was 3. Yeah. I had 2 stepfathers who didn't like me, so they were not father figures in my life. But my grandfather became like my father figure.
Yeah.
Did you have anyone step into your life as a boy or a young man?
Yeah, I did. Mr. Kenneth Jackson, Mr. J. Man, he came into my life. I met him once when I was about 10 years old. He was around this time. He was driving in my community, picking people up on a bus and taking them to a youth program in my city. But then when I was about 14 years old is when I really got connected with him, started going to his church. He was a pastor in the community. And everybody knew Mr. J. And him and his wife, Mr. and Mrs. J. And they became my spiritual parents. But they also had an organization called Street Beat, where it was an after-school program where there's the arts and stepping and drama and dance. And I joined that. And that was actually where I started doing gospel rap. Went on a little mini tour in my city to like 6 different churches. And Mr. J was someone who was consistently believing in me, fanning that flame. I would call him when I was struggling with things. I would go over to their house on Christmas, which is also my birthday. And they would bring me over on Christmas and have a gift for me. And so Mr. J was definitely someone who believed in me. I saw his family. It was the first time that I saw a family, and I was like, man, I want something like that.
Donta, I'm sorry, this is a little off subject. You were born on Christmas Day?
I'm a Christmas baby.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You share your birthday with Jesus.
This is what I tell my wife. I'm like, I'm that special that God chose to celebrate me the day that he celebrated most.
Oh my goodness. So Donta, is he still in your life at all?
Mr. J, yeah, we keep in contact. We don't talk as often. He's in Florida right now, but anytime I go home, we're at his house. I remember when me and Chantel, we went back home, and Zai was about 1 year old. We stayed at his house. You know, he had an extra room for us, and yeah, I love him so much, and yeah.
So, okay, now you're a dad. Did you feel prepared to be a dad?
I was terrified. I did not feel prepared. I'll share this just because I think it's a significant part of my story. But my mom met my stepdad, so I actually grew up with a dad in the home. But he was my stepdad, but we call him dad. So when I say dad, like, it's because I've known him since I was 9 years old, and he married my mom. I was there when he proposed in the living room, and I was there when he got married in the living room. It was like 5 of us, and it was amazing. And I remember being there and being so excited. But a lot of my dad's journey is his dad didn't give him a lot, you know, of affection, a lot, love, emotional space, you know, a lot of things that a lot of men struggle with today. Like, my dad didn't really get that, and so I didn't get a lot of that. And that was a big part of me feeling inadequate when I found out, oh, I'm gonna have a baby. And this is 4 months into marriage.
Oh my God.
I'm 21 years old.
Oh my God.
And we see that positive test result, and I start crying.
Because you were terrified, or because you're excited, or both?
I was terrified. It was not a part of the plan. Say it again?
Have a baby, like, was this like planned, like, let's get married, let's have kids right away? Was that
we had a 5-year plan.
Yeah, 5-year plan.
and it got balled up and thrown out the door, and our first boy made me realize that I had a lot of things that I had to face that I had not faced.
Yeah. And are both your children boys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I wanted to have a girl first because I was terrified to raise a boy.
Wow.
Terrified. The thought of raising a man, because I didn't know if I had anything to give.
Wow. Man, that makes me cry. Dude, what have you learned? Now your oldest is what, 7?
He's 5 now.
5, yeah, okay.
Yeah. He feels like he's 7.
He thinks he's
4. He thinks he's 20.
What have you learned, man? I mean, there's people on, you know, that are watching, listening to us, and, you know, through the whole gamut. No dad. I mean, your story is, unfortunately, your story is too common. Dad in prison, dad not showing up. My story, stepfathers who don't like me, very common, unfortunately. What are you learning, and what would you say to people that are like, you know, single mom, just millions of single moms everywhere, right? Trying to raise kids, boys and girls. What are you learning?
Yeah, man, I feel like I'm learning every day. But one of the main things that I have gotten out of being a young dad is that my goal isn't perfection. My goal isn't to get it right every time, to know exactly what to do, but it is to be present, and it is to face what comes up in me, because it's funny how much has been triggered in me as a parent. It tells a lot about me than it does about my boys.
Yeah.
And I think earlier on, I denied a lot of that. Like, if I felt, you know, inadequate, instead of leaning into that and opening up with someone, instead I would just escape and just not be present. And I think a lot of my journey of being a father has been being honest with where I am. Man, this just brought up something inside of me that made me feel really insecure. There's this one moment where my son, we're leaving a party, and he did not want to leave. Like, it's just screaming and kicking. And I'm so embarrassed because I'm that parent. I'm that parent where the child is screaming, and it looks like I'm kidnapping my son. And I'm walking out, and I have on a beanie, like a headwear beanie. And at the time, I'm really insecure about my hair because it's nappy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's nappy. It's not like twisted and clean cut and nice. And I'm having a bad hair day and I have my hood on. My son rips off my beanie and throws it. Cause it was like my whole body just like shook out of embarrassment. I was so embarrassed. And in that moment, it was like I heard the Holy Spirit say, just because he does something to you, fathers don't return tick for tack. And it was such a powerful moment. I felt God come in and cover me.
Wow.
So that I wouldn't shake my son to death. But in that moment, I looked at him and I could see in his eyes, he was terrified about what I was going to do. And I looked at him and I said, son, even though you just made me feel really embarrassed, I'm not going to do that to you.
Yeah.
Now let's go. Now let's get in the car.
But I'm going to kill you when you get home.
We for sure talked about it in the car where I got to be honest with him and say, Dad felt really embarrassed when you took that beanie off of my head. That hurt my feelings. Yeah. I didn't get that as a kid. If I embarrass my parents, they're gonna return the favor with a belt.
It's yeah, we're learning how to father. Donta, I'm so proud of you. You know, I've got to. I didn't really remember your story, but I see you all the time here, and the impact you're having on this generation and on our young people, and the way that you are fathering. It's why we wanted you in the Father series, because you are a young father, but you are a present, loving, godly man. And as you said, you're probably not getting it perfect, but these kids, you know, they don't come with a manual like, this is how to raise Johnny. And by the way, you can't raise Mary the same way because she'll respond differently. You know, they should come individual, like, here's on her, you know. But you have a reputation amongst our own team of being a really present, godly father, and I'm really proud of you. And you are a sign that I think you're a sign to everybody who's either watching this, who's not had a father, or mothers who don't have a dad in a home. You know, a generation who's fatherless. That you can get it right, even if it went wrong in your life. And you are a testimony to that.
Wow. That's so encouraging.
I really want to thank you. And I also want to thank you for agreeing to be on the Father series. By the way, you can join us on the Father series. It's the stories start, looks like I'm reading this now, October 25th. We start the Father series. Donta's stories on there. He's gonna he's got a whole session that he's going to share with you. You can get this really easily by pre-ordering the Uprising book. So we thought what we do is just put together something special. Obviously, we want people to read our book. So, like, how do we motivate people to read our book? There's no manipulation here. It's like, well, why don't we ask people to, why don't we do a special thing? And so we put together this 5-part series, which we think really came out really good, even better than we expected. And so if you pre-order the book, you can apply for the Father to get the 5-session Father series. And all you have to do is, I'm reading it right now. If you just go to theuprisingbook.com, theuprisingbook.com, all the instructions are right there. And all we need is the receipt that you pre-ordered, and we'll let you in. We actually want you to watch the Father series. We're so excited about the Father series.
It's so good.
Like, yeah, we want them to see this even if they didn't buy the book. But we actually are trying to motivate you to read the book, because we think the book has some really great answers for this generation. Donta, thank you so much for being on. Love you so much. Looking forward to seeing more of your story.
Yeah, love you, Kris.
God bless you. Have a great day.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.